But I think the first big step is to be true to yourself, and not this coming from a fad place, right? Because oh, everybody's doing it, and I always wanted to travel. It's like this is what's going to make me happy, right? And from there, there's really no stopping you. So first off, I mean, your business, the nature of your business and what occupies, that part of your time has to be in line with potentially helping you, to be able to travel and satisfy the needs of your business remotely. In my case, be honest to the potential limitations, right, that you have based on the scope of your business. But I think that if it comes from a true place from within, and you're open and receptive, there's really nothing stopping you other than that fear of change, which I think is more something that is manufactured by our brains based on society imposition rather than what you can accomplish. If you go with the idea that you're going to find it there, I think you need to take a step back, and be clear exactly on maybe not the place, maybe that's going to come down the line, but at least why do you want to work remotely? Some people are super comfortable being home, and being close to their quarters, places that they know, that they flow with certain ease, right? This idea, this notion of working remotely, to some people is just going to add stress. It truly does. So just be true to yourself. Understand what it really takes. As I said, take a trip that's close by, where if there's something that pops up, you can easily come back and tend to that. And then I think that as you open up and you're receptive and you let things flow, it's just gonna pan out the way you want it. And the idea is balance, right? At the end of the day, we all want balance. And if you can find that sweet spot of a place that offers you as much personal reward, such as business reward, then you find your happy. Yeah, then you found your happy spot. But as I said, it's not going to happen overnight. So it starts from opening up, sweeping the fears to the side, and just taking it step by step. Really balance in terms of time, the business things that you have to achieve, and give yourself enough time to go and do what creates fun and personal reward. Hopefully a personal drive and not a fad, not a trend, right? But you need to force yourself to do it step by step. And just like life, in so many distinctive facets, is about learning. This is about learning too, because it's a great shift of energy, and energy that you've been working on for so long. But it's a gradual shift, right? So yeah, take your time to, as I said, maybe take a trip to somewhere close, and push yourselves. Maybe at first you went to this spot with the idea of staying for 3 days. Do 4, do 5. Like, get out of your comfort zone, right? Push yourself a little bit, get out of that comfort zone, and see how that feels, not only at a personal level, but on your professional development. Did that make you feel like you were being irresponsible because then you're not close to your workspace? Or did that make you feel with certain freedom of saying, I'm going to organize myself better to tackle the things that I know I need to tackle in a time frame, and then allow or give myself time to go out and do other stuff that I want to do outside of my work? So
I said, hey, what do you think about me traveling? And he was like, yeah, okay, why don't you go ahead and go, and we'll see what happens. When are you going to leave? And I was like, I left a month ago. And he was like, I couldn't even tell. And I was like, yeah, well, good Wi-Fi goes a long way. A company with an international plan for voice and text, and not using your data, but keeping it on Wi-Fi, company can hardly tell. So, but he ultimately knew. I had kept him informed. I said, this is when I'm going to go. This is why. There's kind of like two situations: work ready and not work ready. And knowing the difference, especially ahead of time, so you can get to meetings on time and be productive, is the key. but it was kind of a process of pushing the boundaries of how far in the jungle you could go while keeping Wi-Fi and signal to your phone. You have to maintain the difference between work and vacation even while you're traveling, and you have to set up your schedule accordingly. Stick to your schedule, give yourself some flexibility, finish what you got to finish. Don't have a foot in two things. Be at work or have fun, or I should say be at work or be at play, but don't try to cheat your schedule.
There were a few things I had to learn about myself, like, well, what drives me to work? And when you wake up in the morning, sometimes work is admin stuff, which is not my favorite. So how do you get yourself to say yes to that day? You know, like, you get up and there's no boss, there's nobody going, okay, I know that you're not at your desk. I know, you know, it's like, well, so the self-discipline became part of me, you know, like learning and knowing when you're slacking, and a self-assessment. Okay, well, I have to decide if I'm doing enough, because it looks pretty bad by the time a boss out, you know, when you're working remote, it's got to be bad for them to bother you if you're working with the right company, right? So you got to do your stuff, but you can kind of slide. And so it was this continual path into like, okay, am I being excellent? Oh, well, whoops, I've kind of gotten mediocre, you know, and every day you get to say to yourself, how do I want to show up? And how do I want to be as a human? Because there is a sort of disconnect that happens in working remote, that you don't have the peers around you to really be like, oh, I want to make a better environment for them, right? And so there can be a disconnect from your company or from whatever, and it's kind of up to you to say, hey, I'm here, I want to tap into the company culture. Hey, I'm here, I want to create. Hey, let's create phone calls, let's initiate things, you know, let's be in our excellence even when no one's looking over our shoulder. And I feel like that transition was my opportunity to find out what I was made of. And I crashed a few times and I learned a lot from those moments as well. And it helped me become a lot of the things I want to be in my own life, not just in work. So now it's kind of a necessity for me to have this way of life. There's an element that people don't consider, which is the economics of things, right? Like, there are real benefits. You know, I grew up in the US. What a privilege that I can be here. I can find full-time work, and then I can go to a country where I can contribute to their economy. And it doesn't take a lot from me to make a big difference there. So those opportunities, that also entices me to a space. If I feel like I can go and give something, like maybe my presence or maybe my dollars, you know, maybe in some way what I'm bringing can matter. That's important to me.
It really depends on your objective, and in general, when you're traveling and working, it's really important to set like a schedule and maintain it, and kind of do check-ins on yourself. You know, you want to have that blend of travel and leisure, or leisure and work, and sometimes you could go too far one direction or the other. So doing those check-ins, obviously, Zoom meetings, you really want to go, you know, plan ahead and make sure that you're in a well-connected place, that you're not going to have trouble. Be very careful with things like time zones and just some of those like little things that are easy to forget. I do find, especially if you work for a corporate company and you're traveling, you really have to go an extra step to make sure that you come across as somebody that's easily reachable and productive when you're gone. So it could include, you know, responding very quickly to emails. Often in many countries, especially the big cities, phones seem to work pretty well, but certainly in some places they don't. But I think just, again, preparation.
Thank you. This is the part of ZEAL that's most important and exciting to me, is the cultivation of community, international community, and us becoming global citizens. And in so doing, we understand each other, we understand culture, politics, religion, different economic possibilities and perspectives. So we become enlightened when we interact in different societies and cultures. So the benefits of working remotely are innumerable. I mean, really, it would be impossible to put your finger on all of them, but learning about different environments and just the expansion of awareness, I think cultivates a much more intelligent and unique perspective individually. And whenever you come back to the US, you're going to bring a huge variety of different perspectives and understandings. Just getting to know people, different kinds of foods, different ways of doing things. I mean, I always am so profoundly moved by, oh my gosh, I would never think to do it that way. And so I feel like I expand tremendously every time I go on a trip or I visit another culture or really engage with another community. So I think learning and learning and learning.
One of my greatest irritations is working remotely is when people think you're on vacation. And I'm like, I am just living my life in a different geographical location, but I'm still putting in the work. Now, we all know this, especially as business owners, is that we can compress the workday. So a lot of people are accustomed to you working 8 hours in a day, but half of the workforce is only working about 50% of that. Anyway, so if you were, truth be told, if you could compress your workday into a 3 or 4 hour window, you can go off and enjoy wherever that you're at. And so that's what I do. My window, when I open up the screen, stared right into the Sphinx's eyes. And you want to talk about surreal, waking up in the morning, having a cup of coffee and looking at the Sphinx? That changes your perspective on things. But being able to crawl through the pyramids and have an Egyptologist take you up and down the Giza and teach you firsthand is far above and beyond anything you're ever going to learn in a high school or a college setting. But I'm working. So when people look at me and they're like, well, how's your vacation? I'm like, I'm not. I'm just living my life. And I think once more people identify that as saying, I'm not trying to break away from my life. I'm just trying to enjoy my life in a different geographical location with different people. That is going to be, I think it's going to change our society, honestly. So that's it.
It's endless opportunity, endless expansion, endless growth. If you learn, say, 6 to 10 things on a regular day in America, you may learn 600 things on a regular day there. One thing that I always come away with is how beautiful and kind the world is. 99.9% of these people, and what they do in ways that most Americans, myself very much included, would never think to do for somebody who's just wandering aimlessly in a new country. The world is truly a beautiful place, and every country has its own little. One other thing I might just add for those that can do this is, you could Airbnb your house and you could pay for your trips. There's a lot of financial opportunity when you're traveling. There's a lot of, even if you're just working for a US company, but you're also kind of in the back of your mind, is there opportunity in this, where I am, there's a lot of ways financially to grow as well.
The community here is really strong. The work-life balance is amazing. Having the beach, a 3-minute walk away for, easy access and, beach breaks in between work sessions is, I will say that being able to anchor myself in work and be highly productive has actually been easy for me. There is this sense of, wanting to make sure that the time that you are spending at work is done with a lot of focus and little distraction when you have access to, national parks, beautiful beaches. So my effectiveness as a founder actually has improved and gotten better, if anything. This idea of, waking up, getting some yoga, getting some meditation in, having a nice breakfast with a coffee, and then plugging in for 3-4 hours, being very diligent with my task list, and then unplugging for like 2 hours to go to the beach. And when you unplug out here, you unplug. Like it's you're either working or you're completely, immersed in, the activities and, the nature component of, being out in a place like this. I think this lifestyle is intended for the curious, right? Stepping outside of the comfort zone is not always easy, but it's very advantageous. There's a ton of, life experience that, we are kept from experiencing or living when, we don't branch out and, explore different communities in different areas around the world. So, yeah, a good jump off point is ultimately being curious, right? And wanting to experience something different, something uncommon, extraordinary. And, finding that is, more possible when you're stepping out of an area or an environment that you've grown accustomed. I would also advise anybody who's looking to get into this kind of lifestyle to take more than a week or two in each location. I would highly recommend spending at least like a month, get settled, get to know the community, get to know the land, because that's really where, the magic in a place becomes available and accessible when you lay some roots, right? Because after about a month, you get a good sense for the possibilities, and the spot and the area starts becoming to feel like home, which is amazing because once you leave, you have a home to go back to.
I think remote it's here to stay, and it's just going to get more and more.